Just a summary on what we talked about this morning in the Introduction to Yoga class. So we were looking at yoga as a state and yoga as a practice, as well as the goals of yoga and the differences between Hatha and Kundalini yoga. So what we talked about as the state of yoga was a settled mind. This is according to Patanjali, the settled mind. So having the mind in equilibrium. You go through your life, there are chaotic things that happen, but ultimately you're able to maintain stability of mind. You have different emotions that come up, but you maintain a sort of steadiness. You don't react, you respond. So this is one goal of yoga. The other goal is to raise the Kundalini, we say, to raise the Kundalini. So it sounds like something mystical, but it's not. Perhaps it can be talked about in a mystical way, but we can also see this as the nervous system. So creating optimal function in the nervous system in order to heighten consciousness and gain perspective and shift your life this way. We talked about Einstein's statement that you cannot solve a problem from your current state of mind that created the problem. So essentially, this is what the yogi is doing, changing their state of consciousness in order to see and be able to act on better solutions and change their life. So these are the two goals: to enhance the nervous system functioning and consciousness, elevation, and settling of the mind. So this is yoga as a state. Now, yoga as a practice. What is yoga practice? Commonly, we go to a class and we have yoga practice. We do postures. The aspect of the yoga practice we call asana is the postures. There's variation among the yoga that we're practicing. So if we're practicing Hatha yoga, we often hold a posture steady for a number of breaths. Whereas in Kundalini practice, we're using dynamic movement in our postures. A similar thing happens with the breath, which is another aspect of yoga practice we use in classes commonly, pranayama, the breath. In Hatha, this is a slow, deep breath. In Kundalini yoga, we're using a dynamic breath of fire, we call it. So there are different methods used in the class, but ultimately for the same goals still, raising the Kundalini, the functioning of the nervous system, and settling of the mind. The other aspect that we use in classes is meditation. We tend to use this in Kundalini as, again, a dynamic meditation. We use mantra, which is creating vibration in the body through sound, singing, basically, chanting, more accurately, creating a vibration in the body, and through using mudra, a hand gesture of some kind, stimulating the energetic lines in the body as well. So this is in Kundalini yoga meditation. Whereas in Hatha, often we are silent, reflecting inwards on the breath, for example. So both meditation types have points of focus. They're just slightly different. Again, having the same goals in mind. The part of yoga that we don't commonly do in class, the part of yoga practice, which is important, that we do not commonly address in class, although sometimes do, and which you can integrate into your yoga practice in class, but which you can also practice in your daily life, is the philosophy aspect of yoga. So this is, if you hear about the yamas and the niyamas, yamas is acting towards the world or yourself. Niyamas is more of a perspective, an internal thought and dialogue within yourself that happens. But both yamas and niyamas can have aspects of the other, action or perspective taking differences. But more commonly than not, it is this way, or it is useful to think of them in this way. So under the branch of yamas, we have non-harm, we have honesty, non-stealing, non-excess, and detachment. And under the niyamas, the perspective taking to ourselves, we have purity of thought. So being present with your thoughts, contentment with what you are doing. We have surrender to God, or surrender to the fact basically that we do not always have control over things. We also have self-study as well, a need to reflect on how these yamas and niyamas apply to your own life. And then finally, the aspect of commitment to a practice. And this is very important. This is your sadhana. In order to make a change, we need to commit to a practice daily. In order to create bad habits, it's through repetition. And to create good habits, it's also through repetition. So if we want to reach the state of yoga, samadhi, then we need to practice on a daily basis. It is good to come to classes, of course, but sadhana is truly what will change you. So from this, we have seen that both Kundalini, Hatha yoga, and in fact, any other kind of yoga you can think of, has the same goals in mind. They just simply use different methods. And most commonly in classes, we see meditation, postures, breath work. But it will be also important to integrate in your practice the yamas and the niyamas. And remember that practicing yoga is, we practice basically in a class in order to take these things into our daily life. So it's not just that you come to class, do yoga in the class, and leave it there. The idea is that you come to this space that is calm and relaxed, where you have a guide, where you have group energy, and you take that practice, those skills that you practice within the class in this contained environment, and take them out into the world.